What I have here is my Chargriller. This was actually a deluxe model, but it's very similar to the Smokin' Pro that a lot of people have. I actually picked up the side box, which doubles as a little small standalone grill, but you can also mate it to a larger Chargriller and turn it into a side firebox. So that's what I did. As you can see, I've used it a couple times, and I've got quite a bit of heat leakage right up here near the top. So I actually did, originally this lid wasn't closing real well, and you can see where I was getting a lot of heat loss around certain areas, mostly around the top and the sides of the lid. So I actually took this and I had a metal worker bend the lid and the hinges out so that it would actually seal quite a bit better along the sides here. It's much improved over what it was before, but I'm still going to do a few mods here today and kind of seal that up a little bit better so I won't have so much heat loss. Right now I've still got these grates in, and I'm probably going to take those out. I usually take them out when I'm actually doing any smoke, especially if I've got charcoal and wood in there. I usually just take them out, so that's why you can tell they still look pretty new. I've never actually used these. I just stuck them back in there the other day as I was putting things back together. So that's that. And what exactly would I be doing? Well, I'll tell you. I've cooked on this twice so far, and I've actually smoked like a couple of pork butts and some bacon and whatnot on it. The bacon was pretty good. Unfortunately, because of all the leakage from the firebox over here, I was having a hard time, and it was really cold that day, so I was having a hard time regulating temps on this thing. So what I'll be doing is, for one, definitely sealing up the firebox better. I don't actually get, a lot of people will take and they'll use RTV sealant or some silicone in the joint between the firebox and the grill. I don't have a lot of leakage there. So for now, I'm probably not going to. In the future, I may need to RTV sealant that, but I mean, it's only a matter of 7 or 8 bolts to take out of there and seal that thing up. So I'm not going to sweat it for right now. If after the first couple of cooks, if I start noticing leakage around that side, then I'll seal those. We've also got a lot of screw holes here, and I do have some sealant that I'm going to be placing in these couple of small holes here and there. There's a hole here and a hole there, and it's actually for the rack that goes on the top. I took it out for now because I was doing pork butts or something that was larger than would be able to fit under that rack with the lid closed, and I actually just took it out. But for now, I'm not actually going to seal these two yet because I do use my rack once in a while. So what I plan on doing for now is just getting some flathead screws and just put a screw and a nut in there and just kind of close it up a little bit without making it permanent. Same thing on this side. There's 2 holes here, and this one and that one in the lid are also for the top rack that goes in it. So for that's one thing. Where do I get most of my leakage? Again, heat leakage around the firebox, not a big deal here. Most of it is actually around the lip and the edges of the grill, along this side here, along the other side here, and I'm not sure how well you guys can see this, pardon my really shaky camera work, but you can see that there's quite a bit of a gap here, and the way that these are made, hoping you can see this, on the front edge there's actually a lip welded in here, right, but there's nothing along the sides, and this lip just kind of butts up against the edge of it, which is okay in the front, and it actually does seal pretty well in the front. But on the sides, there's tons of smoke that just pours out the sides. And the other thing too is that the smokestack is just kind of held in with a plate along the bottom, a curved plate. And you probably can't see that there unless I back up. But there's a plate that actually contains, it's welded to the smokestack, and there's just 2 screws holding that whole plate in. So what I will be doing is taking that off and using some more sealant around that. And then I'm also going to take a dryer vent, one of those round dryer vents, and just kind of moving it down, get it closer down to where the actual where the grates are, to the cooking surface. Now a lot of guys, what I plan on doing in the future, what I'm not going to do today, what a lot of guys do actually is go ahead and drill out two holes here and there, and put in a pair of thermometers, and that is going to happen in the future. I just don't have the thermometers yet. I'm still debating on what to get and where to get them from. This one is crap, but I do have a couple of small thermometers that I use on surface, on the actual grill surface itself, that I picked up from Menards, and they're only $2 or $3, and they work fine for that. So just, you know, toss a couple on the grate and you're good to go. I do also have a probe that I've never used before, and I'm assuming that what I may end up doing is leaving one of the holes on the side for to actually have some place to thread in my probe. So there's that. Once I actually get this thing mounted up, the grate down there on the bottom, I'm going to leave that in there. I'm going to go ahead and foil the entire bottom of the interior cooking area, and that grate down there, I'll probably leave it and just use it to set water pans on top of, so that they'll be in the area and be able to get some heat on them, and then, you know, provide some moisture inside the grill. But the main thing is just the biggest issue right now. Two issues. One, smoker box is just hanging off the side by the screws that attach it. And if you can see this right here, this gap right there, if you can see that, it's shaky as all hell, and it's also causing this top edge right here to flex, because the material, I mean, it's thicker than some grills that I've seen, but it's not made to hold the entire weight of this guy right here reliably without it causing some flexing. Because of that, actually with the grill closed, this side is much tighter than the other side is. Much tighter. But that's only because the weight of the smoker box, the firebox, is causing it to flex outward. So I'm actually going to put a couple of standoffs between this bar and the firebox itself to hold the firebox up level, first and foremost, and provide it some support, so that when I'm yanking that, you know, the clean out, that I'm not taking all the weight with the grill and everything with it and causing all sorts of flex. Eventually this can fail, or it can start busting the welds around this side seam here, and I don't want that to happen. You know, if I spent a little bit of money, it was cheap, don't get me wrong. These things are not expensive, but at the very least I want to get a few seasons out of it before I wind up having to chuck it and buy a new one. So, you know, 15-20 bucks over at Home Depot, worth of some sheet metal and some screws to make a few additions that they should have done at the factory, and, you know, it should be a lot more robust than it is now. So there's that. So anyway, I'll digress. Back to this lip. So this front lip here does a decent job. It needs to have a lip along the sides, and that's what I'm actually going to be doing. I've got some L-shaped aluminum that I'm going to cut the length, tap in a few screws, and get more of a lip along the side edge here and on both sides. And then I'm also going to take, I don't know if you've seen this stuff before, it's called stove gasket, and for the lip around all three sides, I'm actually going to put some stove gasket on there to provide a really solid seal once the lid is closed. So that should ease my problems with all the smoke pouring out from around the top of the lid. And then also by bringing the smokestack down towards the surface, it should give more of a uniform flow through the cooking area, and be able to help, you know, regulate the temps a lot better. I can almost guarantee that it's going to be hot on this side versus the left side, which might actually work out fine depending on what I'm cooking. So that way I'll have, you know, a couple of different zones to work with. In the future I may actually go ahead and get some plates welded up, take that charcoal grate pan out, and do a baffle system, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. It works pretty well for what it is. It's just you have to know that you're going to be at least a good 5 degrees, maybe 10 hotter on one side than the other, and it works for me because it allows me, if I've got multiple pieces, to, you know, kind of move them around. Some pieces may, you know, be taking a little bit longer to come up the temp. Like sometimes you got a pork butt and one will pop, and then the other one's still got 20 degrees to go, so you can kind of shuffle them around a little bit and bring them up at the same time. So that's what I'm going to be working on today, and I'll be showing a few videos and taking a few clips here and there as I go along, and we'll see how these things work out. So after a couple of hours of some pretty fancy handiwork and a few moments of cursing at my drill for going dead on me, what I've managed to do is I've got these nice angle brackets here, L-shaped. I installed these on both sides of the grill to make up for that area that is experiencing a little bit of overhang from the edge of the grill there. Curse you, drill. Anyway, so we've got that done. Now what I'm going to do to augment that is I'm going to take some 3/8 inch rope sealant, a rope gasket like you find at the stores that sell stuff for stoves and ceramic ovens and stoves and whatnot. And that rope gasket's going to go all the way around the edges. And that's basically going to create my container seal. Again, don't worry about the holes. These are going to get filled. And once I'm done with that, we'll take a look at this chimney here. It's probably going to wind up with some dryer vent on it, leading down to the grill surface about right there, just right above the surface. And that'll give me a nice, pretty even. Oh crap! It's raining. Okay, well, as you can see, I've gone ahead and installed my side flanges here on both sides. Again, those are just L-shaped aluminum, and I went ahead and took a Dremel sander, and this top edge used to be painted. I went ahead and sanded all the way across and cleaned that off real good so that it'll accept the adhesive that goes on with the glass, the fiberglass rope sealant, which is this stuff right here. It's called Grapho Glass, made by Rutland. You can get this from Amazon. I got mine from Ace Hardware, one of the local hardware stores here. And it comes with sealant right there, or the actual adhesive. And that's what I'm going to be putting on next. So I took the top of the hood off and sat it on my deck. And I went ahead and ran my glass along the flanges, the stove gasket, all the way around. Got another piece I'm going to put along this back edge here, just in case I still get some leakage out of the rear of it, but I need to get this thing put back together and test it for leakage pretty soon here. So I'll be doing that, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Alright, so I've finished with the mods that I'm going to make, at least for now. I've gone ahead and installed got my metal flanges in here with my stove gasket all the way around. I'm getting ready to do a nice, pretty hot burn in order to get the cement for the stove gasket stuff to cure. Feels solid right now, but I guarantee that it'll flake off if I don't cure it first. So I got to get it up to a pretty high temp, as high as I can get, which means I'm probably going to end up throwing some charcoal down in here and run this guy at about 500 degrees for a while. The smoke box, I already showed you that I went ahead and had that kind of bumped out. I'm not going to seal this right now. I'm not going to put the glass on it yet because I've got the 3/8 inch glass, and I think actually because I had those metal workers get this a little bit better, I'm going to need to go with something a lot thinner than 3/8 inch in order for it to actually seal and close properly. So I'm just going to hold off on that for now and see exactly how much loss I get out of it as is. I may not need the glass. I may not need the stove gasket on there after all. So we'll see. I need to test it first. And I've got my standoff brackets installed in order to keep the... Here, make sure I do this right. I've got my brackets installed in order to keep the smoke box from hanging directly out the side with nothing else supporting it. And it's a lot more sturdy now. I don't know if you can see me shaking this thing, but it's a heck of a lot better than it was before. No more real flex here. So we're good to go on that. And it actually helped, especially with closing the lid now, because if you can see this real well, it's setting me right on my gasket. Right on my gasket. All the way down, fairly straight. Little small bend in there, but other than that, not too much of a big deal. And last but not least, we've got little bit of good old dryer vent duct, and I installed that on the smokestack, brought it down a little bit, and when we get closed, you can see how it's just hanging above the surface, good couple of inches or so, and it's all the way pushed in the rear corner, and that's going to help me get a little bit more even in controlled smoke flow. It'll create a lot more smoke flow around inside the chamber as opposed to just dumping right out the smokestack. So it's going to make ensure that I get more smoke for less wood over here in the smoke box. And that's it. I'll give it a run, and maybe I'll take a video of it to see exactly what kind of smoke we get out of it and what kind of leaks I'm going to wind up with. That's the important part. But thanks for watching.